Gotta love the things you find on Facebook Marketplace.
Check out this little VW Rabbit Caddy pickup. Nice. Traded a Honda ATC for it.
Fuel injector pump laying there might be a bad thing, but let's see if we can push this thing in the backyard. Oh yeah, she's apart. Oh, there's an injector pump on it. Diesel fuel all over everything. Black Widow spiders everywhere. It's valve covered. It's a 5-speed car. No air conditioning. Great thing about these little V-dubs, they all come with little spare parts. Not too bad. The dash is a little desert skunky. This other mess cleaned up. We'll get that in the shop and maybe start working on it. See if we can get the motor to run. Yep. Just another day in the shop here. Got the little V-dub on the rack. We're gonna get that engine pulled out. Show you what I'm doing right now. Cylinder head was just sitting on it, so I took that off. That was easy. This is my VW parts collection from over the years. Looks like I got a new hood latch cable. I've got a Scirocco pump that I need, so that's a Scirocco oil pump. We're gonna be doing some modifying to the engine. Looks like I got a few different mounts. I don't know if I got the right ones that I need, but we are going to get this engine out, tore down, and then there's some rings and bearings and basically some parts to put this thing back together. The cylinders are pretty rusty. I ordered some brake rotors. Sounds like that wheel bearing's out. Putting axles in it. Probably end up putting a clutch in it. But yeah, that's kind of what we're working on right now. So let's just get started. And just like that, magic trick, the engine is on the floor. So I got a few things it looks like to address. We've got a boot out here. This is just a manual rack, but we'll get new boots. We're gonna put new shift linkage in here. Still got spiders. I've been killing spiders in this thing. I think I might have to nickname this the Black Widow, even though it's white. It's full of Black Widows. I've killed at least 20 of them, so it's kind of infested. Hopefully no more hatch. I think I see another one already I gotta kill. Anyway, we'll get that motor separated from the transmission, get everything cleaned up, get it on an engine stand, tear it down, and I'll show you how I'm gonna convert it to make it a oil-cooled piston turbocharged engine. Alrighty, so we got Jared Campbell here. This is my buddy McKay Campbell's nephew. He's not a full-on Glendale local, but he's a Glendale local. We got the crankshaft out. That was kind of a feat. Steamed on it a little bit, and yeah, these pistons, they're not moving. So I'm gonna let Jared do a little filming here. I'm gonna beat on it with a 2x4 and a hammer. So I'm hoping I can push the pistons down just a little. So I can hone the cylinders and push them out. Ooh, that was tight. Okay. I guess they're down. We'll have to get a hone on that now and see if we can clean them up and then get the pistons out and evaluate our block situation. So somewhere along the way our camera died that we were using to catch us getting the pistons out. However, as you can see, they're all out. This one kind of in bad shape. Hopefully it hasn't hurt the cylinder wall. I was wondering why the cylinder head was off. Now I know. Something fell into the block and got caught in the corner right there, and it jammed the piston pretty hard. It's a pretty nasty little bump on there. So I'm gonna have to look at the cylinder head and see if it has a matching bump, because I'm sure it probably does, if I don't get bit by Black Widow first. So let's see, this is number 4. Nope. No bump, so they might have just got it hot. So it might have just gotten hot, overheated, and started to swedge the top of the piston out, because they do that sometimes. But we'll clean it up, have a good look at it, hone the cylinders. If we have to bore it, we will. All right, now that we've got the engine all apart, show you what we're going to do here. We'll actually use a laser to get the angle on this drill bit. But what we'll do is we'll drill a hole in about this region. That hole comes out underneath of this main, and then we'll cut a groove over to the oil hole here. So there'll be a hole through the main web, and then we'll cut a little slot back over to here. Usually use a little die grinder or a Dremel tool, and that oil will supply that nozzle and actually oil the side of the cylinder wall there. Okay, back on this beauty. So what I'm working on here is the turbo. This is a 1.6, and it's a IDI, indirect injection they call it. I can show you what that means later on when I have the head off, but it basically does not inject fuel into the cylinder. It injects it into a cup bowl, which is then injects into the cylinder. So they're kind of not really efficient. I mean, they get really good mileage, but they don't make any horsepower, so they aren't really efficient. They use more fuel than they could to make the same horsepower. But what I'm working on is the turbocharger. So this turbocharger is from a late model V-dub, like a 99 through 2003 1.9 ALH. And what I'm doing, I've cut the EGR off and welded that shut. Pretty easy to weld cast iron with a wire feed welder if you take your time. I'll show you guys how to do that one day. But what I'm doing is rotating this up. I'm going to make a log manifold, really simple, and then just basically tie right into that. I'm not going to put an intercooler on this because it's only going to run about 5 to 10 pounds of boost. We're just trying to boost the horsepower on this thing, not really like make a lot of horsepower. This actuator actuates the VNT inside the turbo, so what I'm probably going to do is take this off and put an adjuster on it so I can just adjust it with a wing nut, because I'm not going to run the VNT actuator. I'm actually going to set the turbo in a position and just run it, whatever boost I want it to achieve, because these motors don't really put out a whole lot, you know. I think they were 45 horse originally, and I'd be lucky if I get 65 out of this. So we'll get that wastegate actuator, or yeah, it's kind of a wastegate, but it's not a wastegate, it's a VNT actuator, and then make it mechanical, and I'll show you how we do that. Well, we just got the block back from the machine shop. Looks good, bored out, got the pistons all sized and fitted. So we'll get that one put back on the rod, get the crank cleaned up, get the crank setting in there, get my bearings in there. So basically when that bearing's in there, that seals my little piston cooler set up. So we'll get assembling this thing. Alrighty, we got the crank back in. There's no rods or pistons. I got the cylinder head just sitting back on with a used head gasket so I can simulate height. We got some of the accessories on the front. What I'm working on is this turbo drain. Bought this off eBay. It's for an ALH VW, which is like my little Ute pickup or the modern day Volkswagen TDI. 99 to 03. So what I've run into here, there's no hole in the block, so I need to tap a hole, but this line, the way it comes down, it's a little bit short. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take that fitting out of the end right there, and I've got a little piece of basically 3/8 MPT. It's I don't know, 3/8 MPT fitting, and I'm just going to brass it to the end of this. So let's go over here and get ourselves set up and make sure I get my fitting the right direction, and then get that in there. Put on a little more powerful eyes here so I can see, and then we're going to use a little brass. So what I'm using is nickel brass, nickel bronze, whatever you want to call it. It's got a lot of nickel in it, so it melts at a low temperature, but super strong. And I do this with a lot of my fittings. So this is a metric fitting, and it's a little bit short. It'd be too much work to adapt it. So we're just gonna braze it. I used the torch in a day or two. We're gonna have to wire wheel that because we got something going on. Acts like there's dirt in it right here. I got a little spot where there's dirt, something, I don't know. Welded pretty nice over here, but we'll let that cool down. Then what I'll do is I'll wire wheel it. I'll come back and I'll go around that again, and we'll get it drilled and tapped. We'll get the block drilled and tapped. I've already put a spot on here, so I'll lift the cylinder head back off. It's just sitting on there. Drill and tap that, clean everything from underneath, and then we'll put the fitting in. We'll give it a trial run, and then it's ready for pistons and a cylinder head to go on. Time to get the cylinder head on this old girl. Pistons are in. Everything's ready to be torqued. Oh yeah. Nice, that fits nice. So yeah, ARP head studs for the win. See if we can hold that cylinder head on there with a little turbo boost. And I don't know, get this thing running later. Okay, I've had about enough of working on that rabbit. What have you been doing, Jimmy?
Not much productive today, to be honest.
So here with Ron.
Well, I finished the trailer, and I was working on that when you called, so it's all done.
You brought Sammy.
And I brought
Sammy's hanging out, and we're just hanging out down here, like, gonna have us a bowl of clam chowder and a steak.
Yes.
Well, that was rather difficult to put that engine in, but it's hanging in there. And all I got to do is just put like everything together. So we'll get the mount in, get the starter in, get the thing situated straight here, get the axles in, get all this back together. I have everything now. It's just zip, zip, zip. And then, I don't know, we may have it running like tomorrow. Another beautiful day in the shop, back working on the little VW. I've had this big block over here I've been working on. This engine came out of Travis's yard, picked up a Y-end manifold for it. I went and got the transmission off this engine actually, and I was kind of one of those deals, take the transmission, take the engine too. Well, I decided to go through the engine and kind of clean it up and make it run, and I'll end up probably flipping that and selling it and making lunch money out of it. Anyway, we're here working on the V-dub, and I wanted to show you guys this. So these cars back in the day, they had this vent coming out of the valve cover. Back in the day, these things would actually get so much blow by, this oil would go into the intake. I've thrown the intake away, but because I remade the one for the turbo. But what would happen is they run on their own oil. So they came up with this baffle, and let's get this opened up here. So this baffle stops the cam from slinging the oil around and keeps it down on the lifters. And essentially that goes in there like that, and that protects the blow-by, or you know, we're going to make a road draft tube oil, blow-by oil, from essentially getting into the intake manifold and causing the vehicle to run on. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hook this hose up right here, and this is just going to road draft like a Cummins, and if there's any blow by, it'll drip on the road or whatever, but not get in the intake manifold and not process its own oil. So let's get that valve cover on and go from there. Alrighty, I've been working on this thing for a little while here. We got a little booster on here. I've been trying to bleed the fuel system. It's really been giving me trouble. I can't get this injector to bleed, but not sure why. This is my oil pressure light, because I haven't got an oil pressure light. So we're gonna get this thing fired up and see if she'll run. So let's give her some glow plug action. The little lights, the glow plugs. The red one's the alternator. Well, kind of started right up if you bled it right, I guess. That injector's good, I guess. Sounded like it was running on all four. So what we're gonna do, I haven't got no water in it yet. I gotta put another hose on there, I got a clamp to tighten up, I got exhaust to put on it. We're gonna do all that tomorrow. So I don't know. That was kind of a lot. That was a lot got done today on the little truck, so let's get back on it tomorrow. New day in the shop. We're gonna get on the exhaust on that hot rod, the little VW. I don't know, I picked this up in the junkyard from Travis, 454. I didn't really want it, but I needed a transmission from my buddy Larry, so I went and got the transmission. It was hooked to it, and I was like, yeah, take the whole motor, we'll see if we can get it to run. So I'm out here messing with it this morning. I think I'm gonna fire it up. Got it all hooked up to life support. That was too easy. Well, considering I just put an intake and a Junko used distributor on it and just kind of threw it all together, the timing was pretty much right on the money and it fired right up. So we're gonna let it sit and cool off, and then we'll run it through another heat cycle, obviously with no water in it. The motor did get a little bit of water in it, so I wanted to make sure nothing's hurt. And the gas that I'm running in, it's 2-stroke, so it'll lube the valves and pickle it down, and we'll wrap it up and use it in a hot rod. Got a lot of clatter in it because the timing's way up on it, but I think I'm gonna leave it there. I like it. But it's time for some power enhancer. Max MPG from Industrial Injection. So it's got about 3/4 of a tank. And that's the fuel that was in it when I got it. It's the first time I've got the lid off. So give the thing a squeeze, we're gonna give it about 4 of those, because this is old fuel. That'll bring up the sulfur and bring up the cetane, and I'll probably have to do a filter change after I run it for a little bit, because this thing's been sitting for probably 20 years. But yeah, that should make a huge difference. And it sounds good. So we're gonna go take it for a test drive here in a little bit. We'll take you along, see how it runs. All right, it's hot out. I've had enough of this little Volkswagen. I'm gonna get the jet ski, and I'm gonna get Desiree, and we're gonna go to the lake, maybe head up river.
A few moments later.
We're stuck on the lake.
We got our new engine in our 3-seater jet ski, and the battery died. Engine's
Now we're
good.
floating.
Jet ski Jimmy's on his way with a battery. It doesn't suck though, we're upriver. The water's chilly. We're out of beer though. Maybe we should have him bring
We are
beer.
out of beer, we're out of Pepsi, and we're almost out of water. We've been out here for the day.
We're moving though. We're going downriver. We've already gone, we're 3/4 of a mile now. There's a sandbar coming up here in a couple miles. We're gonna be beaching on it first. That's probably where we'll meet Jimmy to put the battery in. We'll report back to you. Yep. Just floating here. Yep. This is my motor now.
I'm a 1-horsepower girl.
This is my motor. Because I broke down, my battery went dead. So I'm gonna lay here and just take up the sun. Pretty out here though, pretty nice, peaceful. Hardly anybody on the river. Passed a couple of boats. Yeah, we just gotta go clear down there and around that corner in another mile or 2, and that's where we're parked. What's up? Jimmy, jet ski Jimmy towing service. He brought us a battery, we put it in, it didn't work. Batteries, I don't know, got something electrical. These Sea-Doos, they take like 900 amps, so who
knows what's going on with it. Could be anything. Hey Jimmy, how about a Monday sandbar run?
Perfect. The water's amazing. The temperature's amazing.
It is
It's
pretty
not
nice.
125.
Yeah, it was hot today. How hot
That was
did it
amazing.
get? How hot did it get?
I don't
115?
know. I've been in the air conditioning all day.
Oh man, that's like cheating. It's time to take this girl for a spin. See how she runs. Should wait for the glow plugs. Oh yeah, I like some glow plugs. Oh, the hood shut's nice. Hopefully it'll open. Got very good brakes. We'll manage. Shifting the rear gears, I'm gonna have to adjust the shifter. Got no second or fourth. Got first, third, fifth, and reverse. Yeah, awesome. Have to tune on that shifter a little, but turbo works good. The transmission to shift on her, I think she'll be a good little car. Speedometers on these, the odometer will probably work, but the speedometer, the magnets go away on them. I don't know what happens to them, they just get to where they don't work no more, but anyway, we'll get the transmission shifting and clean the interior out. I got some seat covers I'm gonna do. I'm gonna get this headliner fixed that's rubbing on my head. Fix the brakes because it ain't got no rear brakes. But pretty good little car considering we got it from the junk pile and salvaged it. Kind of works. I have to let myself out first. Whoa. That sums up the little rabbit pickup. Give it a few days and we'll get those little bugs worked out. Be ripping it around town.